Good evening and welcome to News 360. We are live from our studios at Adesanwe in Accra. We're also live on DSTV channel 279. My name is Solace Rose Corti.
My name is Issa Moni. Up next, the headlines for this hour.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by Deluxe Paid.
Public warned to quit transacting business with 10 investment companies as Securities and Exchange Commission launched investigation into their operations.
And a demolished area around Redco Flats at Medina to be developed into a market and lorry park.
And on mission tonight, pupils at 31st December Women's Movement Basic School in East Gonja Municipality learn under trees.
And on the international front, at least 26 people killed after armed attackers targeted a village in northwest Burundi. These and more, including sports as well as entertainment, coming up in the next 60 minutes. Let's do our first story. And we start off this bulletin with this story. And the demolished slum around the Redco Flats at Medina is to be developed into a market and lorry park. The project, according to the Lankwantanan Medina Municipal Assembly, will provide alternative business locations for traders and drivers along the Medina Adenta Road. Catherine Fimpoma has the rest of the story.
The Lankwantanan Medina Municipal Assembly adopted a more radical approach to dealing with the squatters this time around. Slum dwellers had blatantly refused to move even after their illegal structures were demolished. The demolition exercise started last week, but in less than 24 hours, they were back. The Municipal Assembly is not taking any chances this time. Even trees are pulled down just to make sure there is nothing to host them.
We've managed to talk to Zoom Lion, and they came with about 10 trucks, and they are conveying the material from site to the dumping site. And we believe that if you are able to do that, then we'll let the police also take control of the whole area. So this time they won't get access to the materials that they use to reconstruct back.
Even with this, most of them still cannot be bothered. It was a normal Saturday where they went about daily activities. The Redco slum has become a home for several squatters for over the past decade. People of all social standing from business and churches occupied this piece of land illegally on the blind side of city authorities. It later became a den for all manner of nefarious activities.
This time, we've decided that we are going to put the land into good use after this exercise. That's why we are clearing. On your way coming, when you get to the junction, realize a lot of traders are there. So we plan bringing all those traders here. And also the taxis and the trotros, they don't have a place. They park on the highway. We also intend bringing them here.
How ready are you to start this project?
That's why we started. It's an ongoing process. Today we are here and we make sure that we clear. The following, which is Monday, we'll come and demarcate. And the next time we arrange for the various traders to come to take their portion.
Meanwhile, the situation turned into a good business day for scrap dealers. For Yalbefi, today is more of a Christmas day.
Oh, where am I going new ones?
On a normal day, you could sell this for 10 cedis, but with what I have, I will make more than 50 cedis today, which doesn't happen every day.
By this exercise, one can probably say that the Redco slum in Medina is no more. But for the slum dwellers, this is just one of the numerous demolition exercises that have occurred here over the past 10 years. But how different will this be, and how permanent will this place be bare until the said development takes place. Only time will tell. Catherine from Poma TV3 News, Medina.
And the Managing Director of First Bank Financial Services, Edem Akpenyo, says time is ripe for the Securities and Exchange Commission to increase the minimum capital requirement for investment and fund management companies. He said the increment will serve as a means of sanitizing the capital market industry from low-resourced companies and as well as increase public confidence in the sector. His remarks follows the Securities and Exchange Commission notice to the public about some fund management companies under investigation.
The Securities and Exchange Commission is notifying the public that some listed operators engaged in fund management activities in the capital market are under investigation for numerous complaints against them by the investing public, bordering on violations of provisions of the Securities Industry Act of 2016. According to the SEC, anyone who engages transaction with any of these companies could be exposing him or herself to avoidable risk. These companies are McEllis Investment Limited, Western Capital Limited, Brooks Asset Management Limited, Kamag Capital Ghana Limited, formerly Lifeline Asset Management Limited, Mac Asset Management Limited, EM Capital Partners Limited, Met Capital Group Limited, Canal Capital Limited, Man Capital Partners Limited, Alpha Cap Securities Limited. The Managing Director of First Bank Financial Services, Edem Akpenyo, says the problem could be attributable to the low minimum requirement of 100,000 cedis to enter the industry.
Post-redenomination, 100,000 is become very paltry. So anybody has an idea or wants to move into the investment space, all he needs to get is 100,000 as required capital and start the business. Now these companies end up managing funds in the hundreds of millions of Ghana cedis. Now, one thing that a company with such a small required capital can do is that they may not get the required quality of staff. They may not get the required good softwares and equipment to be able to effectively manage the funds that they are taking from the public. So then anybody finds 100,000, he sets up a company, goes out to the public and says, hey, see, I'm SEC licensed. And based on the trust that people have in SEC, they start investing in those companies. Meanwhile, the company's required capital is just 100,000.
He believes an increase to 5 million cedis is apt, but operators could be given some time to meet it.
So you can't ask them to jump from 100,000 minimum capital to 5 million in a year. So then we have a system where we say, okay, everybody should get to 2 million by the end of 2019, get to 4 million by 2020, and then get the 5 million by 2021. I think that if SEC believes that the 5 million is the correct figure that has to be in there, then they have to give us time and probably scale it. So by the end of 2018, get X amount, end of 2019, get X amount, and all those things, so that maybe in 4 or 5 years' time, everybody should be minimum 5 million Ghana cedis.
The Securities and Exchange Commission says the general public will be given further notice after its investigation.
Mama, you're amazing.
She is motivational. She makes you optimistic. She calms your tensions. Always there to help you, embracing you with love. She is real. She is a mother. She is selfless. Selfless mother.
Well, for those of you who don't know, on Mother's Day, some people also celebrate the men who have played the motherly role in their lives. And he has embraced his new role as a single parent, acting as a mother and a father. But most importantly, he enjoys playing a motherly role to his children. In the following report, Solomon Mensah brings you the story of 38-year-old Kofi Asamoah, who single-handedly caters for 2 of his 3 children.
Kofi Asamoah's journey has not been easy. Juggling his role as a single parent and radio presenter is a daunting task, but he will not rest on his horse. in giving his children the best of love and support.
My children are they are like my friends. When I was living with their mom, I was taking them to school, bringing them back home. I buy them everything. I go to the market. Even when they were a bit younger, I was taking them to weigh-in. So it has become a responsibility. So when the lady left, though it's not easy, but it wasn't so hectic.
His children, 5-year-old Manfred Kwadwo Asamoah Enin and 7-year-old Jeremiah Kwaku Asamoah Enin, are best friends with their dad. Kofi tells us he enjoys teaching and watching cartoons with them.
When it's 3 o'clock, I go to their school, pick them by myself and bring them home. Because if I depend on the car, they will come at late and they'll have to do their homework, eat, take their bath. When it's 7:30, they have to go to bed.
With a busy schedule as a parent and morning show host of Kaswa-based Pink FM in the Central Region, Kofi has to wake up at dawn to prepare his children for school. He is particular about the appearance of his kids and makes sure they are well groomed before leaving for school. After seeing off his kids, he quickly has to research on current issues before going on air. Kofi tells us he is sometimes tempted to employ the services of a house help.
I'm considering bringing in a house help, but I don't like girls because of experiences and because of what I have heard somewhere. Anything at all can happen. I trust myself, but at times the devil too is smart. But if the person happens to be a boy,
He is, however, grateful to his mother, Ifa Mensah, and other women who contributed immensely to his upbringing.
I want to wish my mom a happy Mother's Day. She's been a wonderful mother, a good one by my side since childhood. We were brought up by a single parent, and God being so good, my mom has been a very wonderful mother. She's glad it's Ifa Mensah in the Nkranza, Abuantem, in the Brongahafo region.
This, he says, has nurtured and enabled him to show love and support to his children.
Right, and here's an example of the story of a woman, or what women have to do sometimes to become mothers. And this woman put her job on the line by taking her then 3-month-old baby to work after exhausting her maternity leave. Although juggling motherhood with her career is a daunting task, she would not exchange it for anything in the world. Jocelyn Wood spent some time with a woman experiencing motherhood for the first time and has come through with this report.
For most women, experiencing motherhood for the first time is a thrilling experience, and it comes with excitement, renewed vitality, and perspective to life. 27-year-old Frederica Adonting is a first-time mother. Although pregnancy, according to her, is filled with mixed emotions, nothing compares to setting eyes on your child for the first time.
Seeing my baby lying by my side, not being able to sleep, staring at her with the smiles and tears during the night. It was really a nice feeling. I can't explain that feeling, but I think it's beyond nice.
Going back to work after the end of her maternity leave, she recalled was tough.
She wasn't the kind of baby who would cry. That's my lack. So I take her to work, hide her close to the sick bay in one of the rooms.
She has to fall on her husband, particularly during the weekends when she goes to work, to help take care of her child, who is now 17 months old.
Your wife is there to provide the affection and the love, but when it comes to structure and discipline in the family, it's always on the side of the man. Yeah, so I think it should be both ways. You shouldn't leave your child for the woman alone, neither should the woman leave it to the man alone.
Frederica Adonting entreated mothers not to leave the upkeep of their kids solely for caregivers, but to be actively involved in their upbringing. Her husband, Patrick Amwating, a software developer, also encouraged men to help their wives in childcare duties.
Well, indeed, we're going to stay on more stories regarding Mother's Day, and the role of a mother is daunting, involving, and for some even frightening. Motherhood, and especially so childbirth, is described as a life and death situation. However, in recent times, the role of motherhood has taken a different twist. In the following report, Natalie Ford takes a look at motherhood from the eyes of non-mothers.
Motherhood seems so far away for many young females. Motherhood, for some, is a state that suddenly occurs, however, can't be completely prepared for.
The delivery, sometimes I will say I don't want to deliver myself, I want to be operated, but my mom told me it's not nice to be operated, so that is what scares me, but I love motherhood.
Giving birth scares me a lot because most of the time I see videos, and then sometimes my mom also tries to scare you a lot about, like, in the labor ward issues and all that, yes.
I think it's the birth given. That's all. I think that's the only thing I keep wondering if I will be able to go through.
Life is not the same for women today seeking to become mothers. Personal aspiration and professional ambition, in the hope of competing on a level playing field with men in the workplace, has rippling effects on motherhood and parenting. In the world today, the role of women is changing, as many more women are seeking career advancement and finding themselves in leadership positions. While this trend has economic advantages, the social implications are not as positive, as this means that the domestic role of women is usually pushed to the back burner. As the world marks Mother's Day on May 13, we seek to find out from non-mothers what they make of the role of motherhood today.
I don't want to be a full-time mother. I want to be an independent woman, so it's automatically I'll be part-time. Yes.
I want to learn hard so I can get something to support my children. I don't want to depend on my husband or any family member.
I would want to nurture a child and instill certain morals in the child as well, just as my mom is doing.
I would like to train children as my mother did. In fact, everything she taught me, I would like to practice it in my motherhood.
I want to be a successful journalist in future, so I can't just put my aspiration aside and then devote myself into becoming a full mother.
Mavis Dede is a mother of one. She said childbirth was not in the picture for her until the unexpected occurred.
It's not easy at all, especially being in Accra, schooling, taking him to school before coming to work and then moving back to pick him from school. It's not easy at all, but it's fun having children.
Though growing less popular, Julinda Akofa says she would love to be a full-time mother in the future.
Mothers, parents don't have time for their kids. They come home late, they overwork, and then they come home late. So sometimes it affects the children. I can see that. So with me, I'll prefer to get everything I want at this time and then get everything I want before I get into, so that my children will have the love I have for them, will always see me around them.
The role of a mother in society is great and inspiring. Despite the fear associated with childbirth, the thrill of motherhood seems to be the prize that will lead many mothers to be on to motherhood while seeking to climb the corporate ladder. Natalie Fort, TV3 News, Accra.
And Ghana has ratified a host of international conventions that safeguard the rights of women. These have been reinforced by existing legislations and constitutional safeguards that are tailored to address the peculiar needs of women. But have these helped remedy marginalization and social exclusion? Catherine Frimpoma has been probing.
Gender inequality continues to undermine local and national efforts intended to reduce poverty and promote equitable development.
The intentions are right, but implementation is a challenge. Then again, there's a disconnect. Coordination of all these programs in such a way that they reach out to the people in the right way is a big deal. I mean, Ministry of Health is doing a number of things under nutrition and all of that. The Ministry of Gender is giving support to poor people under LEAP, and then the LEAP 1,000 that goes specifically to pregnant women and children under 1. But then there's very poor connection between these various institutions. The LIPW, for example, by Ministry of Local Government, they're also on their own. So how do we weave this support together to make sure that it's reaching the right target and is building one over the other? So that's one challenge.
While women contribute considerably to economic activities, access to basic necessities of life remains a challenge with those in deprived communities most affected.
The benefits of social protection will yield stronger if they are linked to various programs, for example, deliberately developed productive inclusion programs, where there is that consciousness to support poor or vulnerable groups or individuals and families to engage in economic activities that are sustainable.
Statistics compiled by the International Federation of Women Lawyers, FIDA, reveals single mothers and women who are heads of households struggle to survive in raising children.
This can easily find itself in the Domestic Violence Act, because one of the abuses under the Domestic Violence Act is the economic abuse, where someone is mandated to provide care and maintenance. It's also in the Children's Act, and the person refuses to do so. So the protections are there in some situations where there are children. The Children's Act is our #1 act, and it's really frowns upon lack of maintenance. It's actually a criminal offense.
Property ownership and inheritance remains a challenge due to certain traditions and customs that are inimical to the interest of women, particularly those who bear the entire responsibility of providing for their households. FIDA, however, says there are laws and safety nets to protect women who have been victimized.
Telling women that FIDA is out there, is here for all women and even men too. When they find themselves in these situations, we are telling them, come over, let's talk about it. Don't enter into any business or build houses or acquire property with somebody you are not married to without first seeking legal advice.
These inequalities are persistent, pervasive in many parts of the world. There is growing evidence that gender equality can directly foster economic growth and broad-based social development. Addressing inequality, therefore, is imperative to inclusive development for the marginalized and socially excluded. Catherine from Poma TV3, Accra.
Mama Mo, indeed. Let's move away from celebrating our mothers and head over to the health sector, where the Ghana Health Service has warned of a possible cholera outbreak with the onset of the rains. The public has been advised to take personal precautions to prevent infections. In the following report, Catherine from Poma exposes the unsanitary conditions in some markets and the serious health implications it poses to the public.
Most markets in Accra are well structured. However, the population of traders by the roadside is huge. It unfortunately remains the preferred choice for many due to the easy access and affordability. Conditions here at the Malamata markets are worrying. In the midst of this very dirty, smelly place, all manner of vegetables, fruits and other commodities are traded. Traders here are not oblivious of the health implications.
Oh, well, you're drunk when you did. You know, come cry what I bed. I'm matching Hana, you die. Not it's here. And I am sorry. I told you.
Yeah, we told you now, do cry now answer so any.
Our food is always contaminated by flies, but we don't have an option.
They blamed the Metropolitan Assembly of neglecting their duty to clear the refuse, even though they pay.
We pay not less than 10 cedis a day, yet they do not come to clear them.
Last week, your mama says, I never saw my bed. What dog, beba, AMA beba. Inti ama ese mala teju ande ko.
Once ya ba we say as a boy
We are tired of this filth here. They gather a lot of revenue from us, but yet they do nothing. Not too far from this is a public toilet. People go in and out, and without washing their hand, they go straight to serve customers. The Ghana Health Service has cautioned the public to ensure cholera is prevented, since Ghana will be getting to the peak season, especially during the rainy season. Cholera is an acute watery diarrheal disease that can kill within hours if left untreated. It is caused by eating food or drinking water contaminated with a bacterium called Vibrio cholerae. But these women say people eat fruit here immediately after buying without washing them.
The mangoes are exposed to flies. You have to wash with salty water or risk being sick.
Cholera can be prevented by improved environmental sanitation, personal hygiene and drinking safe water, and frequent hand washing with soap and running water. Ghana experienced its highest cholera outbreak in 2014 when the Ghana Health Service recorded a total of 28,975 cases with 243 deaths. This indeed is another heartbreaking event waiting to happen. Catherine Frimpoma, TV3, Accra.
Well, you know, those visuals are not new. I mean, we see them all the time, but it doesn't make them any less disturbing every time we see them.
That's it. They just wash any fruit and every fruit you buy. And the vegetables, steam them and steam again before you eat it. You're on News 360. We'll return with some more stories.
Welcome back to News 360. It's now time for Mission, which is supported by Star Ghana with funding from Danida, UK Aid and the European Union. And teachers at the 31st December Women's Movement Basic School in the East Gonja municipality have blamed politicians for their neglect. Primary 1 to 6 students learn under trees.
It was established more than 2 decades ago by former First Lady Nana Konadu-Agyeman-Rawlings. The school continues to serve Salaga and its adjoining communities. Though it has a large school population, infrastructure is poor. It has only 2 classrooms accommodating kindergarten pupils and 7 as an office. The remaining classes sit under trees. This is the evidence of inadequate infrastructure for use by pupils. Teachers have concerns.
Just last week, there was a storm and we had a broken branch. Assuming it was a daytime or school hours or instructional hours, we could imagine what would have happened. So in fact, we are exposed to a lot of dangers. Next time, there will be a very downpour. When it rains, usually in school hours, we have to close because after the rain, the leaves will drop water for about 2-3 hours. Before it will stop, and then we will mobilize the children into the classroom again to start teaching.
Lessons are stopped when it rains. Pupils are at the losing end. In fact, some houses close to the school had their roofs ripped off after a rainstorm. Teachers fear same fate for structures of the school.
Thanks to TV3. This is their 3rd time of coming here, and nothing has happened to the school, because we haven't seen any changes. I'm not crying of myself, I'm crying about because of the children. They should see to us, and we are begging them to come to our aid to help us. They shouldn't look of the political issues.
Neglect is evident here. The construction of a gate fund project to accommodate the entire school has stalled close to 19 years. Head teacher of the school, Sekere Rebecca, blames the neglect on political interference.
At first, it was Kunadu. She was handling the school. And it looks as if when Kunadu is no more there again, we have not been seeing any changes.
She indicated the school will be tempted to close down when the rains set in. The East Gonja Educational Director mentioned lack of funds as a cause of the delay in completing the project. He called on the Assembly to intervene to improve infrastructure at the school.
And still on education, the Mandai District Education Director, Sisters Adiko, has commended TV3 for influence in educational reforms through reportage in the district. He maintained, though Mandai is underdeveloped, constant reportage has put the district in the spotlight.
Mandai is densely populated and inhabited by people from different tribes. It is located more than 150 kilometers from the northern regional capital, Tamale. Mandai is underdeveloped and poverty is rife. Education here is not the best. For instance, all schools in the district are challenged. Provision of furniture and textbooks is poor. Most structures accommodating pupils are in deplorable conditions.
Animals. We all have animals in our very...
This has forced some teachers to use pupils on farms to raise money to buy furniture.
You don't have chalk, you don't have anything to work with. So how do you run the school?
That is, we the teachers, we can carry the students to farm. When they farm, they will get some money and they will use to buy chalk and they will continue teaching them in the school there.
Some primary schools that are beneficiaries of the school feeding program also have to bring water and firewood from home before caterers are able to prepare and serve their meals.
It so happens that they don't bring firewood and cooking is not done. Because they are used to it. Sometimes it is difficult to get them to even sit down and learn. Because, like I said earlier on, they run into the community, that the guys of going to eat and come back. And when they go back, it becomes difficult for most of them to return to the classrooms.
All these practices are done at the blind side of the district authorities. However, when a TV3 mission team exposed these practices, authorities moved in to halt the situation. Some schools have also received interventions. The Mandai District Education Director, Sisters Adiko, is impressed about the mission's work in the district.
Yes, I would say to a greater extent it has been helpful. Because if it has not been helpful, I've just mentioned some two areas where some people have come in to support the district. Man knows that, where would you have gotten that support? So I think it's helpful. And it has even made everyone to know the true picture of what pertains in Mandai. And I think that alone is good enough.
He wanted other districts to equally benefit from the team's work. He, however, has this challenge.
We have good parts and the bad parts of it. Every year by this time, I get many people or many teachers applying for assurance letters to come and teach in my district. But some of my officers tell me that, oh, after seeing what was happening in Mandai on telly, some people call and say, oh, we wanted to come there, but seeing your district, that you have so many challenges, we will no longer come to your district, which I think is not good enough.
Stakeholders say more will be required to improve teaching and learning in the district.
We are marching for Ghana, always, always. We are marching for Ghana, always.
Well, that's all for Mission for this evening. My name is Solis Rose Porter. Don't forget that Mission is supported by Star Ghana with funding from Danida, the UK Aid and the European Union.
And to some more stories tonight, former Deputy Minister of Trade and Industry, Mustala Muhammad, is questioning the viability of government's One District, One Factory program. The government this week said it had secured $400 million from China to kickstart the much-anticipated project. But speaking on New Day, the former Deputy Trades Minister said the Akufo-Addo-led administration has consistently shown it cannot fulfill its One District, One Factory campaign promise.
Not a dime has been secured, and I think that this government needs to be truthful at all points in time.
It's been reported. Why do you say not
true.
a dime has been reported?
Why? Where is that money? Which bank? I mean, let's be very clear. You remember when His Excellency the Vice President traveled to China, he came back and said that he has secured billions of dollars. Where is that money? Let me be very clear. I'll be the happiest person to see that our business, the AGI, I have worked with them, profoundly as a Deputy Minister for Trade. And I do know the potentials that they have. I'll be very happy if they can access that. But I'm saying that 2018 is gone. One factory for 2017, gone. One district, one factory for 2018, gone.
We know the Chinese would have their interest. And having all the discussions, ever since this concept, I mean, the one district, one factory, it's a brilliant concept that we really have to embrace it. And I'm glad that AGI had come on board, and we are all working towards getting the needed funding and the needed technical advice to make sure that this thing kicks off. The care here is that, yes, expectations must be measured so that we do not have so much on our hands, so much on the table, and then not meet the target that we set for ourselves. We need to manage the expectations of Ghanaians and of ourselves. The money coming had been confirmed. The Chinese are ready to give us the money, and so otherwise, why would they come all the way to Ghana? You went to China.
In fact, they came several times.
But you went to China to sign the loan, the agreement.
They came several times. We went to China, they came.
But the agreement was signed in China.
It doesn't matter where it is signed.
Here they have committed themselves.
So that's fine. I mean,
and yes, I'm certain, and then we are certain about that, and we are measuring our expectations.
Now, President Akufo-Addo says the use of some of Ghana's oil revenue to fund the free senior high school policy, which is guaranteeing all Ghanaian school-going children access senior high school education, is appropriate. President Akufo-Addo disclosed this on Friday when he delivered the keynote address at the 2018 Oxford Africa Conference at the University of Oxford in the UK.
President Akufo-Addo said as a result of the implementation of the free senior high school policy, his government is laying a strong foundation for an educated and skilled workforce of the future.
We are laying a strong foundation for an educated and skilled workforce of the future through my government's policy of free senior high school. We're using some of the income from our oil revenue to fund the program. I believe strongly that this is the most equitable and transparent use of the oil revenue, instead of it finding its way into the pockets of politicians or bureaucrats. We're investing in our future scientists, engineers, modern farmers, innovators, entrepreneurs, and transformation agents.
This year, the Akufo-Addo's government has announced it will spend 453 million cedis of Ghana's oil revenue on funding of free senior high school, more than double the amount spent last year on funding the policy. Addressing the gathering on the theme, enough rhetoric, catalyzing an era of concrete action, the president stated that his administration has embarked on shifting the emphasis in education to ensure that science, technology, engineering and mathematics drive all sectors of the economy. Touching on the issue of trade, President Akufo-Addo stated that the ratification of the Continental Free Trade Agreement by the Ghanaian Parliament will mean that the era of low volumes of intracontinental trade that have defined the activities of African economies will come to an end. He noted, with Africa's population set to increase from 1.2 billion to 2 billion in 20 years' time, an increase in intra-regional trade in Africa is the surest way to develop fruitful relations between African countries. This market, he explained, will present immense opportunities to bring wealth and prosperity to the African people with hard work, integrity, innovation and enterprise.
And now, the Techimine Divisional Police MTTD has recorded that 159 persons have been killed through road accidents in 2016 and 2017. Out of the 159 reported death cases, 67 of them were killed by motorbikes and motor tricycles. In the first quarter of 2018, 28 vehicles have been involved in road crashes and have recorded 22 deaths. The breakdown of these figures were given by the Techimine Divisional Police MTTD Commander, DSP Andrew Sokononge. Here's a report by Johnson Techi.
In 2016, the Techimine MTTD recorded 114 vehicles being involved in road accidents. The number of road crashes was reduced to 83 in 2017. However, the number of persons killed through motorbikes in 2017 was 39 and decreased to 28 in 2016 within the same time period. The Techimine Divisional MTTD Commander, DSP Andrews Okononge, explains that several of the vehicles being involved in accidents in the Techimine catchment area were recorded at night. He says most of the motorbike riders do not understand the road languages, hence they end up in fatalities. The MTTD Commander, DSP Andrews Okononge, gives a breakdown of the Techimine Police Division road crash statistics.
From 1st January to date, or let me say to the end of April, we have total number of accidents recorded to be 28 and total number of persons killed, 22.
The Techimine District Manager of the DVLA, George Afo, says that the DVLA will ensure that any road user who flouts any road regulation faces the law court to clamp down road menace.
It is not necessarily the faking of the documents and the faking of license emanating from Techimine, but the Techimine being a melting pot and a very serious commercial center and a transit zone to most of this, our Sahel brothers and our northern part of our country, we always have to go through Techimine. And trust me, the police and DVLA are alive to our responsibilities.
Now, stakeholders in the cocoa sector in the country are poised to eliminate all forms of child labor on cocoa farms. Speaking at a Deba in Atuakrom, a farming community in the Ashanti region, the country director of the Mondelex Cocoa Life Project, Yapepra Amekuji, said the introduction of the Child Education Support Program is the way forward to achieving the target. A report by Benjamin Adu.
Cocoa farmers across the country are recording increases in yields and profits as a result of an intervention under the Cocoa Life program initiated by Mondelex International. Program managers say the initiative has helped to improve the quality of cocoa produce and livelihood of farmers. Smallholder cocoa farmers in some instances produce 40% below their potential. The Cocoa Life program addresses issues of low cocoa production by enhancing farmers' ability to capitalize on global demand to access a sustainable source of income. The project has empowered 447 groups of women cocoa farmers with farming equipment to improve their yields. Each group of cocoa farmers received 2 manual prunes, motorized sprayers and pruners to make them more efficient in their farming activities. The event was a Deba to mark the project's 10 years in the country and assess progress made so far.
We are happy that from 2008, when we were just about 2,000 farmers, today we are over 30,000 farmers as members. We have also moved from a farmer doing about 400 kilograms per hectare to about 1,000 kilograms per hectare.
The Amansia West District Chief Executive Asante Bidiakon admitted that Galamsey has affected cocoa production in the area.
They got to a point where realized that it would be better to even sell your land to a Galamsey person than take like 100,000 than be crawling every month here and there. You wouldn't know what you're going to earn at the end of the month.
You're still watching News 360 live from the News Hub at Adesamu. We'll be right back with some sports news with Yao Ofosulabi. Stay with us. Well, in entertainment news this evening, hearts are probably breaking all over the coast as Ghanaian actor, entrepreneur and politician John Dumelo has finally tied the knot with his fiancée, Gifty Maunya Nkonu, today in Accra. Now in attendance were top Ghanaian and Nigerian celebrities. They all joined the families of the actor and his fiancée to share in the joy of his marriage. Now here are some sights and sounds from the wedding ceremony.
Now in entertainment news tonight, we celebrate a renowned high life musician, Prince Nico Mbaga, and the composition of Sweet Mother, a timeless classic and a global anthem for mothers everywhere.
Presenting you, Sweet Mother. Sweet Mother, I no go forget you for this summer way you suffer for me.
Born to a Nigerian mother and a Cameroonian father in Abakaliki, Nigeria in 1950, high-life musician Prince Nico Mbaga, better known as Nico Mbaga, became a household for his hit song Sweet Mother. Sung in Pidgin English, Sweet Mother became one of the top sellers in the history of Nigerian music in 1976 and sold more than 13 million copies. It is recognized as one of Africa's greatest songs.
When I did cry, my mother go carry me. She go say, my pikin, where do you dey cry, yo, yo? Stop, 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 stop.
Mbaga played an important role in the evolution of African popular music with his soulful vocals, which created a unique hybrid of Igbo and Congolese guitar playing, uplifting high-life rhythms. On a repeat tour to England in 1982, the renowned high-life musician also became known for his flamboyant 1970s glam rock-inspired performances. Upon returning to Nigeria, Mbaga failed to match his early success. Leaving music, he turned his attention to managing the 4-star hotel that he owned, the Sweet Mother Hotel. Prince Nico Mbaga died in a motorcycle accident on June 24, 1997, leaving behind a timeless classic and a global anthem for mothers everywhere. Sweet Mother is a staple for Mother's Day and was voted Africa's favorite song by BBC.
If I don't sleep, my mother no go sleep. If I no chop, my mother no go chop. She no dey tire how, Sweet Mother. I no go forget the summer when you suffer for me, yeah, yeah. Sweet Mother, hey, Sweet Mother, oh, hey.
It's now time for some international news. And still in Africa, at least 26 people have been killed after armed attackers targeted a village in northwest Burundi amidst tensions ahead of a controversial referendum. Officials say the group crossed from the Democratic Republic of Congo into Cibitoke province. Now, witnesses said they went house to house with guns and knives, burning homes. Correspondents say the attack may have been an attempt to disrupt the next week's referendum, which could extend the president's term until 2034. President Nkurunziza has ruled Burundi since the civil war ended there in 2005. His attempt to run for a third term in 2015 plunged the tiny Central African nation into fresh turmoil.
And all right, this one just in, retired Brigadier Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone has been inaugurated as head of state at the Siaka Stevens Stadium in Freetown. Our correspondent Phoebe Swill brings us more in the following report.
Also in attendance at the Siaka Stevens Stadium, gracing the historic occasion in Sierra Leone, were several heads of state of sister African countries. The president of Liberia, Guinea, Cote d'Ivoire, and Senegal, among others, were in attendance. Aside from these African countries, no head of state from other countries across the globe were in attendance. After 30 years of a one-party state, Brigadier Julius Maada Bio, then under the NPRC-led government, organized a democratic election and handed power over to civilian government. In his inauguration speech, the president mentioned that this is his second opportunity to rule Sierra Leone in the last 22 years.
And that's it for this edition of News 360. My name is Issa Moni.
And I am Solis Rose Corte. Don't forget you can get more news updates on our website, 3news.com. You can always get interactive with us as well on Facebook, Twitter, as well as Instagram. Enjoy the rest of your evening.